Hey, Mark Lee here. You're hearing music by the band Lake, band I spent over 10 years on the road with, and it's from their new album Roundelay. It's a song called Forgiveness, written by Ashley Eriksson. She's an old friend of mine, and we're going to talk about her solo career. So I hope you all enjoy the show.
Accept this chance for forgiveness. Can I accept this moment of relief? You and me standing here alone, with no one else around. Will we find our way home? Who is it that you're trying to forgive? Who is it that is simply not there? Who is it that you are trying to reach out to talk to? Look in your heart, what do you hold? Do you hold on too hard to hold? You are the door, I am the key. You are the door, will you set me free? Process. Openness.
Hey, another thing before we start, you can use your support, so tell your friends, subscribe, rate, review, go to patreon.com/lowprofile if you can help us financially. If you're on Patreon right now, you're going to be entered in a monthly drawing, and at the time of recording this, you have a 50% chance of winning if you're already on board. So enjoy the rest of the show. Hope you like it. Bye.
It's our dog's birthday.
Oh, really? Loga.
Yeah, Loga turned 2 today.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Loga.
Yeah, thank you.
What are you doing to celebrate your dog's birthday?
We've been just being really nice to her, playing with her a lot, and we have been saving a forest adventure for this day. Normally we do this wide open trail walk that is through a clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's these other woods that we never go in that are kind of beautiful, deep, dark woods that only have like old trails and animal trails, and so we have been talking about this for a few weeks, how on her birthday we'll go exploring in the deep woods. And we did, go ahead.
Oh, so you want to talk about where you live? Where I'm talking to you right now?
Oh, sure. My husband, Eli, and I live on Whidbey Island, on the south end of Whidbey Island. So there's a few beaches where you can see Seattle from Whidbey Island. So if that gives perspective to where we are in the Puget Sound, but it's still like Seattle's like a tiny little speck, but we can see it. So you take a ferry that's 15 minutes to the mainland, and then Seattle's like 20 minutes south from there without traffic.
Well, Ashley, you're one of my favorite friends. We've been friends for a long time now, and I think
you're one of my favorite friends.
Oh. And for the sake of the listeners, I spent a little over a decade playing in the band Lake with Ashley, along with Eli and Andrew, who you've all heard on the show before if you've been listening. We're here to talk about Ashley's solo output. because she's a fantastic home recorder, singer, songwriter, arranger, and mastermind of the tape machine, and now I assume computer as well. So I want to play I want to play maybe just a few clips of some of your earliest output. I'm assuming if I asked to play the song about Ratty that you probably would protest.
No, that's fine.
Okay, well, this when I first came to see you perform, I didn't really know what I was walking into. I was on my first date with the woman I'm now married to, and you were playing this song. It was just a kind of melancholy, kind of drony folk song with sweet lyrics about your pet rat who passed away, and got quite a shock in the middle of this beautiful somber tune, and it really stuck with me.
Oh, you know what? I think that you're thinking of the song. It makes sense, but I think you're thinking about the song about the rabbit who died.
The rabbit. That's what it was. That's the one. You still don't want me to play that one.
No, you can play that. It's fine. It doesn't. No, it's fine.
Those are both from Dead Animals, right?
Right. Those are the Dead Animals featured on Dead Animals.
That CD was bootlegged amongst my circle of friends in the Mojave Desert shortly after its release. And I think it's probably still kicking around on a lot of hard drives in some garages, but it's really hard to find this music, so we're not going to give you the whole thing here, but hope you enjoyed a taste of it.
Yeah, I think a taste is good. Like a little taste. I mean, I have I don't have all of my old music, but I have the power to put it online or not, and every time I've thought it through in the past few years, I think, no, I don't need to put that online.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I have some of that.
The world doesn't need this, but from my point of view, but if other people want to hear it and they put it up, I won't protest.
All right, well, y'all heard it here first. And then, so you put out some home recordings that were just, really, really touching, and really, I feel like they've aged well, honestly. Was the good-looking, attractive people? I remember that started floating up in the bootleg scene.
Yeah, I would say, that's definitely the first band that I formed. Like, I came up with the idea. I brought the people together, took pictures of them, and we recorded 4 songs at my parents' house in the kitchen. That was Andrew Dorset and Lindsay Sheaf and Bill Gray. Right. I think our maybe we had like a 4-song EP. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 songs.
4 or 5 songs. And they weren't all my songs, too. I think we had a song that Andrew and I collaborated on that were his lyrics, and we wrote the music together.
And did that group perform ever or anything?
I don't think so. I think no.
Okay.
Before I met Andrew, I was really into the Beach Boys recordings, and the idea of things being very having lots of harmonies, I think was one of the big things for me. But kind of these dense recordings, and I was only just starting recordings, so my recordings weren't necessarily dense, but they were orchestrated. And after meeting Andrew, he was really into this album, this Wilco album. What's it called? Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Yeah. So that the production on that album is so cool and unique, and you hear lots of ambient sounds that come in and out. And you kind of don't hear when they are starting or when they're going away. They just kind of, so I think even though our recording is, isn't that as complicated as that, I think that was also an influence at that time. So there's like little kid instruments, making ambient sounds in the room. That's what I think of when I think of those recordings.
Sure.
It's also making like noise.
Yeah. Do you still have those recordings kicking around somewhere?
I have it. Honestly, Eli and I, like part of this stay at home, stay healthy, work from home time. Eli just went through all of our random CDRs and we listened to some, and that was not one of them. It seems significant that we were recording at, I lived at this apartment building called Das Bauhaus in Northridge.
Oh, yeah.
And they had this piano bar with a bar built onto it at the, like in the common space for the apartment building, and we recorded that song, one of the songs there. And I did other recordings that were like just up until seasonal music. I was making a concept album that I was calling Decarnation, or Decarnation, which I kind of never finished, but I was working on that there and doing Good Looking Attractive People around the same time.
Driving down the freeway and wondering how I got this far from my house in North Dakota away.
So seasonal music, that happened in, correct me if I'm wrong, that happened in Providence, Rhode Island, largely?
Yeah. So I moved to Rhode Island for about 6 months, 5 to 6 months. And I don't think I was recording anything during the summer when I took a class. I went there for a summer and I wanted to go to Rhode Island School of Design. And so I was just checking out the kind of the city and what the school was like during the summer, for a summer class, and then moved there in the fall. But I don't want to get too much into the story, but yes, I recorded seasonal music in the winter there while I was living there, and I had this apartment and just was getting more and more isolated and I think I was sort of depressed for the first time in my life, but also it was kind of good for art because I just was almost afraid to leave. I just wanted to work on art like at the very height of that time, and it just felt like everything was made in this tiny little space. So yeah, that's what seasonal music is, like a coming of age story about experiencing winter for the first time by myself.
Yeah, that album does have like a hint of darkness to it, to say the least. But I feel like it captures that essence of having your first winter off on your own. And a great way to deal with cabin fever, which a lot of people are trying to figure out for themselves right now for the first time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but if it comes out anytime in 2020, people will know what we're talking about there.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to call it anything else other than that. Something that sticks out to me about seasonal music that's different than the previous recordings was that my drum, like, I think before I was getting like one little instrument at a time and expanding my collection, but before I moved to Rhode Island, all I had was a bass drum at first, and then I had a snare drum, but I don't think I had a hi-hat yet, maybe, and I think I got cymbals. I think maybe I got cymbals for the first time when I was in Rhode Island, but I couldn't play a full drum set, and my whole idea, like, concept of recording was recording one little thing at a time. So the drums on that album they have like really intricate drum parts, but the reason that would be they would be cool for a drummer to play, but I actually couldn't play them. They were just like pieced together one, like bass drum at...
Yeah, one drum at a time.
One piece at a time, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the drumming is very interesting on those albums, on that one in particular.
On Happy Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it all right if we play a piece of Happy Man here?
Yeah.
The seasonal music version?
Yeah.
I used to drive to stay alive until this one day I saw a trailer. The horses all fell out all over the freeway, the ground steaming with blood. It was raining and muddy. A happy man in a golden mean isn't smiling all the time. Isn't smiling all the time. Isn't smiling all the time.
And so Happy Man and several of the other songs on seasonal music, and I'd say most of the songs on the version of Decarnation that is available digitally right now wound up as Lake recordings eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's because I was living in Rhode Island and making this music, and Lindsay had moved to Olympia, and I think when I was living in Rhode Island, she was really into Eli's band, the Palisades, and we would talk on the phone, and she'd say, "Oh, Ashley, I think you'd really like this band." I remember looking them up online, and then I think she shared my music also with Eli. So when I eventually wanted to, like, I met Eli and then really wanted to play music with Lindsay and Eli and moved to Olympia, they had already been hearing these songs of mine that they wanted to play. So that's kind of how that happened, even though they were older songs. That was just the easiest thing to be like, oh yeah, Lindsay was like, I'm going to learn that drum part on that song.
So it's all Lindsay's fault.
It's all Lindsay's fault.
Yeah. Bless her. Yeah, and then you guys convinced Andrew to move up there, or up here to Olympia.
I wrote Andrew a letter. Of all the reasons, a long list, over a page long, of why he should move to Olympia, and read it to him over the phone.
And then the two of you wound up, I don't know if you were reading the same letter, but you had me on the phone and kind of gave me a very similar list. And
yeah.
I was up here a couple weeks later, so. What a tangled web. But yeah. I think
we were really like, do you remember the reasons? Were there like, for you, was it like the music or the rent or the co-op? Was there anything that stuck out to you?
I heard that there was berries growing everywhere because this was in the summertime. Rent was very affordable. It was you could play a show every night if you want to. And varied weather, which I was living in the Mojave Desert and I didn't know what that was like. So it was cool to come up and get a taste of what the seasons were like. And what else? I think you guys were really pushing like swimming, how swimming was a hot commodity around here.
Right.
There's still a lot of good reasons to live in this area. But.
Yeah, that's really refreshing to hear all those things. Even when you just said the berries, I was like, oh yeah, that was so amazing.
I think I had been officially in Olympia for about 20 minutes before I joined a throng of like a dozen people to take a quick walk into the woods and just fill up baskets full of berries. And then there was pie later that day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this place is kind of magical. What have I been doing with my life?
Or there were so many random car rides where you wouldn't even know people and they would be like, hey, we're going to the lake, like, want to come? Like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is Eli Moore from the band Lake. We have a new album out now, and it's called Roundelay. You can hear it playing in the background. Ashley Eriksson, Andrew Dorsett, and I made this album in Anacortes, Washington at the Unknown Recording Studio. You can find Roundelay at laketheband.com on vinyl or in streaming and digital formats. Check it out.
You obviously continued writing songs here. When I first moved up here, I think it was within a week or so of having been up here, and you told me about this crazy dream you had where you were riding in some like beautiful pastel colored hearse going to your own funeral to like crash into the river or something. And then you wrote a really nice song about it, and I feel like probably you have some fans who are listening to this who have heard that song but have no idea what it's about. Do you remember that dream?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like something juicy to throw in here.
It's time to go down to the river with all my courage in a bright and colorful carriage. in the poison. It hurts already. Here we go now to the river. I don't want to be buried. Don't follow me, 'cause this is how we do it.
Yeah, so and it's one of those dreams where it's a rare dream, like a super rare dream. I've never had a dream like that before. It wasn't a recurring dream. And I actually had it when we were recording the first Lake album up in Anacortes at the Unknown, or not at the Unknown, it's before the Unknown, at the Department of Safety.
Right, which was a converted fire department.
Yeah, right. So I wonder how long that place existed, but it had been going on for a while when we recorded there. It was like an art gallery and art collective, like we were saying before, where people were living who are artists, and I don't know how they got their grants and stuff, but I think it was pretty cheap rent. And anyways, so we were recording there with Carl. Carl was borrowing other people's stuff and had his own recording stuff, and we were sleeping, like, it's an old firehouse, so there's also like bunks, like rooms with multiple beds for people to sleep in. So I think we were sleeping there. I was sleeping in like a bunk, and I had this dream that it was very like what's his name? He the Southern right. Oh, Faulkner. I had this very like Faulkner kind of dream of this old woman, like kind of Victorian woman who she like could take. She was gonna like take her own life because she knew she was dying and she needed to die. And so she was having this sort of dignified, planned death where she would take this pill and then get into a river. And the river would take her away. So, and she would have this very like euphoric end of life experience where she was dying, but also floating upstream in a river. And the part that you talked about, or with the hearse, instead of having like where everyone's wearing black and the hearse is black and the carriage is black, it was like more like a carousel style, like very colorful, like open carriage, and everything's like dressed up like it's this beautiful wake, you know.
I'm thinking like Easter bonnets. Like
yeah, more like Easter than funeral. Yeah. Exactly. That's a good. Oh, I just made the microphone too loud, but yeah, like yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and then it's so beautiful because in the dream I was the woman, and so I like take this pill, and like while everyone's like taking, like the town is taking me down to die in this river, have this beautiful dignified death, and I get into the river in my clothes, and then my head is going downstream, and so the feeling is like flying, like you're flying upwards, like going straight upwards.
Yeah.
And which was just such a cool idea, that just the sort of thing you're like, you don't think that when you're daydreaming in your normal, waking life. It was just such a crazy, specific dream. And I woke up and I made a song about it.
Well, cool song, Ashley.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've been writing a lot of cool songs lately. Can you tell me about this Ashley Eriksson disco project a little bit?
Bring me some more candy, I need some energy tonight. I am dancing my heart out. I know the record that I want, yes, that song speaks to me, and I still got the money. I feel so happy when we are dancing. Won't you boogie woogie woogie with me? But I do.
Like, it's cool to have a theme to work within, and I forgot about that. And with disco, I've always loved disco. I think I didn't know that I loved disco when I was a kid, but disco was a part of ABBA, in their very long careers.
Sure.
Which my parents were very into ABBA, and we had all their albums. There was the disco period, and that's how people usually think of them. But over the years, I had to realize, like, oh yeah, I like disco, and then I like other kinds of disco, or like I want to know more about disco. So like in the last few years, I think like hearing things like Daft Punk or music that still happens today that's like so disco. It's still like disco never went away, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is just like the perfect dance music. I love dancing to disco, and then you talk to someone who hates disco. They just randomly are like, it's kind of like people who say that they hate drum machines, or they hate something in music, and you're like, how can you? It makes them sound like they've just not really gone into, like they haven't researched it, or just don't know very much about it, or the context of that music. And when people say things like that, so with disco, I think I had like run into that a few times with people, and instead of trying to explain to people why they should like disco, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go way like deeper. I just want to learn about it more. I want to listen to it all the time. And it was around like January or February that I had this idea, and I thought, I just need to write like 100 disco songs, and that will make me feel like I've done this justice or something. Of course,
like any sane person would do.
And so I was like, this is gonna be my New Year's resolution. I can do this. And it was just so fun to have this goal and have this. So that was like, I guess that's 2017 that I had this idea.
And how many songs did you have in October of that year?
Oh gosh, not enough at all. I was probably at like 40. So I really had to, in the last couple months, I really had to hunker down and do a lot. And I asked some friends too to send me tracks. I also had the idea that it would have to be covers also, as a way to study disco. And they didn't always have to be disco songs. They would be some song and then trying to do it in a disco style, or just add sound effects to make it sound more I don't know, just it was a very loose concept, it turned out, by the end. And I wasn't necessarily writing songs in a disco style or genre, because that's actually really hard. I discovered that the music that I really liked was very produced and very intricate and tight, and the musicianship was really impeccable. So I would try to write songs, and I was trying to write them in a hurry, and they were not sounding like disco. But anyways, I wrote all these songs, and what it ended up, like, the overarching thing that happened was it felt like a musical. It felt like it was a concept album about disco. It was characters. These characters were developing who were in this world that that was kind of, from the research I'd done, the way that things were in the late 70s, where disco was underground and then disco was suddenly commercialized and everywhere. And some people were some people found a lot of freedom with disco. Like, it could be a place if you were a person of color. It was originally from black people and like Latin people in New York, and also became a place like a disco. It could be a very accepting place to be gay and go to dance and hang out. And it was also often at the same, like, a venue would have music, they would have shows, and then after the show you could like go to the disco. So it was a lot of crossover between different music scenes. But then for some people, like, if you weren't wearing the right kind of thing, or you weren't cool enough, and you would show up, or you would get turned around, or so like there were two different sides to that. But then also people just started hating the over commercialization of disco and started. Anyways, I think I'm getting too deep into it, but
this is really fascinating.
Just thinking about that time period and all the different people having such a strong, such strong emotions around this music, gave me a lot of inspiration to write about, develop characters, basically. Yeah. So after the year was over and I had finished my 100 recordings, I kind of had this feeling like, should I just do another year, another 100? I feel like this could keep going. But it was like, no, I should stop and, like, I don't know, think it all through and try to write a musical. So now I put the word out to different writer friends to see if people wanted to write a musical with me. And my sister wrote a piece, and Reed Urban, who used to live in Olympia and lives in Maine now, and he wrote a piece. And then my friend Jen Delari, who was originally a Lake fan, and we met at shows, and she said that she was a writer and that she was really interested, and so she basically took it over, and now we've had a first draft and we're on our second draft, and it is like a full-on musical that we've written, and it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to witness that.
Me too.
Yeah. Do you have a working title for it yet, or?
We've been calling the script Disco 77.
Disco 77?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or were we just calling it just 7? Maybe it's just 77. Yeah.
Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And I understand that you said that you might be able to sing us a song from that today.
Oh, sure.
So we're talking about. Well, I don't know. I was asking about "Hey Laura." 'Cause that one just really. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. That song knocks me out.
That's actually the most recent song.
Is it?
Is that
I didn't number 100?
It's like 101. So I had on my phone music ideas that I never got around to making into songs from that time. And when Jen and I were working on the disco musical, we got together and we were just like looking up stuff on YouTube, and showing each other things that were influences for us, and exciting things that were from that era. And she said that her favorite disco song was Copacabana. And I was like, oh, what? That's disco? And then we listened to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is disco. That is incredible. So I dedicate this song, Hey Laura, to Jen, because I was like, I'm going to make this song idea that I never did, never finished. I'm like, I'm going to make a Copacabana song for Jen. Okay, here we go. So it's called Hey Laura, and Laura's gonna be like one of the main characters in the story.
I feel like most people have a Laura they can imagine while they hear this song too. So just go ahead and think of Laura.
Oh, okay. It starts like right away, so here we go. Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. Hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. You were standing next to me, towering above me with your heels on. You're such a doll. Your dress is like a curtain sheet, dancing in the sunshine of the disco scene. When you dance, you're full of soul, and so unbelievable, you're in control. It's wonderful, and you are like a disco queen, pulling up in fashion with your limousine. You're so extreme, hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. Hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. After you have had a drink, you are ready for a little mingling and jingling, stepping out onto the floor, looking for some more of that old dancing scene. If you would like to have a dance, I would like to have the chance to spin you round, turn upside down. I may not be the best in class, but I sure as hell can raise my jazz for the dancing queen. You're such a dream, hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. Hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow.
This break is just classic, by the way.
You're such a dream, hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow. Hey Laura, I'd like to see you dance again tomorrow.
Hey, this is Eli Moore from the band Lake. We have a new album out now, and it's called Roundelay. You can hear it playing in the background. Ashley Eriksson, Andrew Dorset, and I made this album in Anacortes, Washington at the Unknown Recording Studio. You can find Roundelay at laketheband.com on vinyl or in streaming and digital formats. Check it out.
Wow. So I would probably be getting a lot of hate mail if we didn't bring up the fact that you did the theme music for a popular cartoon show called Adventure Time, the ending theme. You want to talk about how that whole development came about?
Sure. First, when we first made so when I made that song, there were 2 Christmases in a row where Eli and we didn't want to get each other Christmas presents. And as musicians, you're songwriters, like you're a songwriter, and then very long periods of time go by when you don't write, and you just keep letting life get in the way. And so we had come up with this idea, like that's the most important thing to us and like to each other, is that we write music. So let's just make that our Christmas present. And so that was a song that I wrote for Eli Christmas. And
you've been trying your hand at animation yourself lately, right?
Yeah. Actually, if we had been, if this had been a video thing, I could show you. I'm working on a lake, an animation for a lake video. And it's the first time I've actually, if I can finish this project, it will be my first animation that I've done on my own. I've only worked on other people's projects at this point, and not like had to do all of the parts. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a good experience, and then I can, I don't know, submit it to film festivals or something.
Yeah, that's great. How many frames can you do in a day?
Oh gosh. Well, honestly, so at the beginning of Stay at Home, I was working on it every day, and I could do, I don't want to say it in terms of frames, but I was doing one shot a day. But also, and then if you include coloring, then that might take another day. So yeah, 1 to 2 days per shot. And maybe there'll be like 50 to 60 shots.
Wow.
It takes a long time. It takes a really long time. And I'm still working on it. I'm maybe like 1/8 of the way in right now. But I feel really good. And, but also, so then the hospitals in the Northwest have been asking for people who know how to sew to make masks, or to either cover the N95 masks that the frontline people wear, so that they can, because there's not enough masks, so they have to rewear the same mask over and over again. But that means that they're carrying the germs like in between the different patients in rooms. So
right.
So they want the fabric masks so they can cover the masks, and then wash them and then cover the, So they want lots of fabric masks, also so they can give fabric masks to the people who don't need the masks as much, but who still should wear masks. And then, so it helps reserve the best masks for the frontline people. And then also, it's good to have these masks to, if you are sick and you're coughing and sneezing, then that'll stop the spray from spreading as much. So I kind of, like that. I'm letting that take up more than half of my time right now, just to get it done, and because I can, I have tools for that.
Well, you have many talents, Ashley, and a great heart, and
thank you.
The world's a better place because of you. So thanks for all you do. Let's see. I feel like we didn't talk at all about your Colors LP, which is the only Ashley Eriksson that has been put out on a label that you didn't put out yourself, K Records. And that was a really nice collection that, if I remember right, you did sort of in between a couple Lake records.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
In a similar way, it's cool to write an album, like when you're like, because of Lake, there's all the songs that are sort of happening all the time. There's certain songs that can kind of funnel towards Lake or funnel into other projects. And then time goes by, and this feeling of needing to do something that is like strongly like your own identity, where you make all the decisions, that occurs for me. So with the disco project, that's sort of how that was. And then Colors was that too, where like there's Lake and there's other things, but then like I now really want to do my own thing. And my idea for Colors was that I would play, it was very piano based. And so I think, I did the recordings for that album. I would travel around to different places and different pianos. And there's a piano, not on every song, but on a lot of the songs.
Yeah, I remember that. That was, you went to every piano you could find in Olympia.
Yeah, and then so after the album was done, that was how we promoted it. That was Eli's idea, and he kind of spearheaded this video project of playing the songs on different pianos in Olympia and then putting out videos of that on YouTube.
Are those still available?
Oh yeah, they're all on YouTube.
That's a really fun thing to check out if people haven't seen it before. It also kind of gives you a tour of the neighborhood around here. So,
Right.
Well, Ashley, I think we did it.
Cool.
Yeah. I want to go out on Does Your Life... I want to go out on Does Your Wife Life... okay. I'm glad I can edit this and it's not live. You probably already know what I'm going to say.
Oh, should I tell you about the story for that song? Does Your Wife Like Disco?
Yeah, we're talking about Does Your Wife Like Disco? And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that before we sign off?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I was in Norway hanging out with Ingeborg and in Oslo, and we go to this like outdoor like bar, like food cart place, and this guy shows up who Ingeborg knows from somewhere, and she kind of like introduces him while he's talking to someone else, and I guess I misunderstood what she said, but I thought she said that his wife was really into disco, and that I should meet him, meet his wife, like whatever. And so so then she goes away, and I'm sitting next to him, and we're like getting acquainted, and like he talked about a few things, and then there's some silence, and then I say, "So, does your wife like disco?" And it turns out he did not have a wife. She did not like disco, and he just he was so. That was just so weird for him that I said that. He was like, "Does my wife like disco?" I can't do a Manchester accent, but he is from Manchester, and it's just so that I was like, okay, well, that'll be a good song title, I guess. But I wrote that in my phone that night.
That's great.
And then I get also at my parents' house. I hadn't written the song yet, and I wrote, I had written the song, but I had an idea for another song that would somehow like relate to that song. And it was called Send Me a Husband, kind of like the song Send Me an Angel, Send Me a Husband. And I wrote that song idea down on a piece of paper at my parents' house. And so it said, "Does your wife like disco?" And then on the other side of the paper it said, "Send me a husband." And so then I guess when I wasn't around, my dad came home from being in Sweden, and like he had been gone for a few months, and he came home and he found that piece of paper, and he thought that my mom had written it, and he and he comes down and he's holding the piece of paper up like, "What is this? What is this? Like, But what are you thinking? Like, what are you trying to say? So anyways, it's just, that song is just endlessly, like, even just before even writing the song, and then the song takes on its own life, which is great too, but like, just that phrase, there's just so much in that phrase. It's so funny. Okay, that's my little story about the song.
That's a great anecdote. Well, Ashley Eriksson, people can find your music on the internet. They could find it at finer record shops. They could follow the band Lake at laketheband.com. Anything we're missing here?
No, I don't think so.